Hello and welcome to a video lecture that I've prepared for you on recording and editing audio with a program called Audacity. Audacity is a free program you can download, and very simple program. Might look a little intimidating at first, but pretty easy to work with. And with our podcast profile, the last step in the process after we've written this essay, this assignment, is to record it. So I wanted to give you a run through on how to do that. And also, you may want to begin capturing some audio already and manipulating it and stuff. And so you might want to become familiar with this program. So I want to kind of walk you through the process. Okay, let's get started. Okay, so the first thing you're going to want to do is download Audacity. And if you search for it online, there's another link that's on a domain called SoundForge, and that used to be the official link for downloading, but it looks like they've got a new site. So I looked at the SoundForge to try to make sure which one was the correct site, and it seemed like the SoundForge site had a lot more pop-ups on it. And so I think that this is the actual site that you want to use. So let me go to that site and show it to you and walk you through the process of downloading the program. Okay, and so when you get to the Audacity site, you'll see Welcome to Audacity. Audacity is free, open source, cross-platform audio software for multi-track recording and editing. So cross-platform, it works on a PC as well as a Mac, and so there are different versions of it. And so then you see a link to download it. So we're going to click on that. And then you get the option of which version that you want. And so I want Windows for this download. Okay, and then when I get to this window, I have a couple of options. There's an installer that's 23 or 25.3 megabytes and includes help files. I think that's the one I'm going to go with. There's also a smaller one that's only 10.5 megabytes, but does not have help files with it. But I think you can download it and install it on a flash drive in case you want to carry this program with you. Also, we're going to come back later and on our download, and under plugins and libraries, we need this lame MP3 encoder. The way Audacity is set up, apparently MP3 encoding is proprietary code, and so they can't make it part of the Audacity program. Basically, we're going to make recordings that will save as Audacity project files, AUP files, but they only work on the computer that you recorded them on. You can't export that AUP file and let someone else do it. And so instead, you have to have this MP3 encoder, and it's a separate download, but we download it, and then when we go to export in Audacity, we tell Audacity where to find this file on our computer, and then it'll export your file as an MP3 file, and then anyone can listen to it. So there is kind of an extra step involved in this in using Audacity. Certainly you could use something like GarageBand for the Mac if you wanted to, but we need to make sure that the final version of this file is an MP3 file. So I want you to become familiar with this now so that it's less of a surprise as we get closer to the final draft. Okay, so let me click on the download for the program. Okay, so I've seen that the Audacity program has downloaded right here, so I'm going to double click on that, tell it to run. And select language. Go through the setup process. Decide where you want it to be, and I think I've already got a version open. I might have to close it in order to do this. Okay, so I finished the installation, and now the program is launching. And you get this welcome screen that pops up, and you can click the button so that you don't ever see it again, but it might be helpful for a little while. There are help files available. There's a manual. There's a forum for questions, but really it's not a very complicated program at all. So let me get this out of the way. Okay, so when you get into Audacity, you get kind of this big gray canvas right in the middle, and that's where the audio tracks are going to appear when we start recording. And then we have some control buttons up here: pause, play, stop, skip to start, skip to end, and the record button. So we're going to make a little recording here in a second. And then we have some tools here, a selection tool. Pretty obvious. It allows you to select part of the track. The envelop tool, we use that to kind of minimize the volume of a particular track. So if you want to kind of fade in or fade out, or if you want to reduce the volume of a background track while you're talking over the top of it, this kind of is a pinching tool to reduce that volume. And those are the main things. We do have a draw tool, never used it, a zoom tool. The time shift tool is another tool that we'll be using. Basically, all that means is that you can select a particular track, let's say a sound effect or something, and move it to the left or to the right, depending on where you want it in relation to the other tracks. So we're kind of layering tracks, but don't let it, blow your mind. It's really super easy to do. Okay. So up here we also see things about the input, and we're not going to worry about that, and the volume. And we do have some other standard tools here: cut, copy, paste. This particular tool shows two lines, and in between the two lines we see a waveform, and then it's silent to the outside. So what this does is it will basically isolate that particular part, whatever you select, and get rid of things in front or after it. This particular tool, it's the flat line is in the middle, and so that's it's silencing a particular part of the track. So probably won't use this too often if you were a podcaster, because most of the time you don't want complete silence. That's the complete absence of sound. So sometimes it's a good idea to record some ambient sound, the sound of an empty room, in order to not have complete silence. So over here we have undo and redo, and further down, this is the type of recording that it's making. This is my microphone and everything. So everything's set up just fine. And this little counter, these are seconds here. So let's make a sample recording in Audacity. So I'm going to click on the record button. Testing 1 2 3, testing 1 2 3. Okay, and then I clicked on the stop button. Let's go back to the beginning. Testing 1 2 3, testing 1 2 3. Okay, you couldn't see the waveform very well there, so I'm not exactly sure why. Maybe it has to do with my microphone, but it did record that. And if I wanted to, I could take my little selection tool, and since that's what's the default tool up here, click and drag, and I can delete that first part. And it seems like from around this part, whoops. 1 2 3. Didn't need those last few seconds either, so I'm going to delete that part. I just hit the delete key on both. And now I can go back to the beginning again. Testing 1 2 3, testing 1. Okay, so I actually took off more than I needed to. Testing 1. Get rid of that to. Let's try it again. Testing 1, 2, 3. Okay, so that's one recording. Now I can also make an additional recording, so I can get multiple tracks. So let's say I'm doing my profile, and I'm going to ask you guys to think about what is a sound that kind of typifies your topic. So sample that sound, make a recording of it, and then think about how you can use that in your essay. So I'm trying to begin this process of encouraging you to think orally as writers. So we can have this text running through our profile, and we can also insert bits and pieces of audio that will help us tell our story. So I'm just going to make something up on the fly here. I'm sitting here drinking a cup of coffee. So I'm going to pretend that I'm doing some type of a profile that involves coffee drinking. And so I'm going to do a little capturing of my sound effect here. So let me make another recording. And in doing so, I want to mute this particular track. So I'm just going to mute it. And so we won't hear it at all. Kind of gray in the middle where the waveform had been blue before. So let me do a new recording and add in my sound effect. Coffee. Okay, so that was kind of cheesy, but let's see what we did, and let's play it back. And I've still got that first track muted. Actually, because these are both it's a stereo recording for both, we're only seeing about 1.5 of the recordings at a time. So I'm going to adjust my view so I can see what's going on. So view, fit vertically. So now I can see both tracks that I recorded. This one's muted, and we're going to play my little sound effect back. Testing 1, 2, 3. Okay, back to the beginning and play. Coffee. Okay, I couldn't hear the first part that I was trying to record, which is sipping and slurping the coffee. So I might have to redo this again. But I did hear the last part. So, so I've got my testing 1, 2, 3, and I've got my slurping coffee down here. And so right now this one's muted. I'll take that off. And if I wanted to use the time shift tool, now I can take this testing 1, 2, 3 and move it down here. Or I can leave it where it was. And since that was testing 1, 2, 3, just kind of a trial, then I'm going to move this. And so I've got I can play both tracks back to back. So I could also layer them on top of each other if I really wanted to. So let me go back to the beginning on this and play. Testing 1, 2, 3. Coffee. Okay, so again, that was pretty cheesy, but kind of demonstrated very quickly what you can do with Audacity. So I'm going to take this file and I'm going to save it. So I'm going to go to Save As, Save Project As. They give you a little warning that this is not an audio file that you can share. You have to use the export in order to share it with other people. So we're going to go ahead and do Save Project As, and I'm going to put it on the desktop for now, test, and it'll assign it this extension, AUP. So, okay. Now, if I wanted to share this with someone else, I have to export it. And when it exports, right now as an Audacity project file, we can still go back in and edit these tracks separately and move things around and such. When it exports it as an MP3, basically it compresses everything into one track, and you won't be able to edit that MP3 after that. So let me go ahead and try to export this. I'll go File, Export Audio, Save as Type MP3. So I tried previously to, I'd previously downloaded that lame file and installed it. So be sure you download and install that. And sometimes the first time you export with Audacity, you have to tell it where that lame file is. So make sure that you put it in the same folder as your Audacity program that when you installed it on your computer. So let's see if it works with the MP3 on this. Maybe since I installed it in the same place, it's going to recognize that the lame file is still in the same place. But let's find out. Okay, so save, test, MP3. Your tracks will be mixed down to 2 stereo channels, so we won't be able to edit it anymore. To unpack those channels, work with them separately. So let me click OK. And now we get a place to enter metadata. And ordinarily I would say yes, do this. In the interest of time, I'm not going to do this, but let me go ahead and click OK. Okay, and then let me go back and look on the desktop here and see if we've got both files. Okay, so when we go back to the desktop here, we have test, which is an Audacity project file, and then we have test, which is an MPEG layer 3 audio, which is an MP3 file. So the test has the Audacity icon on it and the Audacity project file, and then the MP3 has iTunes as the icon on it because I told my computer that iTunes was the default player for audio files. So we also see up here a test folder, and this was the supporting documentation for this Audacity test file. So, so we did successfully record an Audacity project file and successfully exported it as an MP3 file. And at the end of this assignment, when you go to turn in your essay, you're going to give me a script, and you're also going to give me a recording to go along with that. So it may be just you reading to the microphone, but I'm trying to encourage you to do something more than that. Have several sound effects, interviews, other things going on. Use oral text to tell the story that's in your written text. Okay, so let's go back to my PowerPoint presentation. Okay, so we downloaded Audacity. We recorded with Audacity. We edited with Audacity, just did some minor cutting away, and also the time shift tool. And I also want to point out that this graphic here is what normally I see more of. I see more of a enhanced waveform. Something about my microphone kind of flattened that, but we did pick up the audio. And exporting audio with Audacity. So once you're done saving it as a project file, when you're finally done with the whole thing and you're ready to share it, remember you can still edit it as long as it's still a project file, but export as MP3, and then you'll be able to share this with other people. Okay, so that's my video lecture on recording and editing and exporting audio with Audacity. Start thinking orally about your topic and see, what are some sounds that kind of typify the topic that you're talking about. Okay, thanks for your attention, and I'll talk to you in class.